Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Nafula. If you've not subscribed to my channel, I highly recommend that you subscribe. But if you've already subscribed to my channel, I just want to say thank you for subscribing and thank you for watching my video. So today I'll be talking about kids. I know I have been receiving a lot of questions. People are asking what are the kind of kids that we can add to the DS260, or we omitted these kids from the application. Can we add them in the DS260? So that's what we'll be talking about today. And in regards to kids, what kids can you add in your DS260? And then when do you add them? And what is the implication if you win and you added them versus if you did not add them? So I'm just gonna go over the category of kids that can be added to your application. Also, I'll be addressing a question that I was asked by one of my subscribers who won the green card lottery and now they're pregnant, and then they're wondering, like, if they go to the embassy and they applied as single but they're currently pregnant, if they'll be asked, like, where's the baby daddy at, right? So we'll be addressing that too. So let's start with the first question. Who can be added to your DS260 when it comes to children? Who qualifies as a derivative? One, you need to add biological children. So if you applied for the green card lottery, you were supposed to add your biological children at that time. So some people are like, you know what, my kids were in school, I couldn't get a picture of the kids, so I did not add them in the application. That's a huge mistake. You are supposed to add any kids that you had at that time to your application. So all biological kids can be added to your DS260. Number two, if you have kids, maybe you were living with a certain kid for a very long time, maybe their parents are not alive and stuff like that, and you ended up adopting them. So if you've been living with this kid and then you've not done any adoption paper, there's no legal adoption papers, they're not considered your kids, so you cannot add them to your DS260. So if you added a kid at that time, like if you added a kid when you applied for the green card lottery who's not biologically yours, then if they have a different father, different mother, then you need to get adoption papers, like legally adopt them so that you can immigrate with them over here. Otherwise, you'll not be able to immigrate with those kids. So just make sure, like, if they're adopted kids, you have legal adoption papers. Number three, the kids that you can add to your DS260 are the kids that are your step kids. What do I mean by step kids? Step kids is either you married their mother or you married their father, and at the time of the marriage, these kids existed. So they're not your biological kids, but then they came with the marriage. Like, they came either with a wife or with a husband. Their kids are your kids, they're step kids. So in America, if you marry somebody who has kids, they consider them as your own kids. So those are your stepchildren. Stepchildren, you do not need to adopt them as much as their stepkids. You adopt kids who you have no relationship with their parents. So their mother, their father, you don't have any marriage relationship with them. So if you don't have a marriage relationship with any of the kids' parents, then those ones you need to adopt. But then if you have kids that, they came as part of the package, either with the wife or with the husband, then those kids needed to have been added at the time of application. Whether these kids live with you or not, it doesn't matter. They needed to be added because they existed before you applied for the green card lottery. There's three categories of kids who can be added. One, biological kids. Two, legally adopted kids. And three, step kids. And legally adopted, it has to be official. So like if you've lived and took care of somebody, you have pictures, you have records to show that you've been taking care of this person since their parents passed and stuff like that, that does not qualify you to like having them like legally belong to you. You have to get legal adoption papers. So those are the categories of kids that can be added. Next, I'm going to talk about what if you did not add them? Let me give you an example. For example, you had a kid who was away in school, in high school, or maybe they were just away, you are not able to get a picture of them. Maybe you work in a different location and then you're not able to get a picture on time before you applied, and you did not add this kid to the application, do not add them if you win. So if you win the green card lottery, do not add any kids that you did not add during your application. And why am I insisting on this? Because if you do that, then you'll get your visa denied. Why? Because lying on your application is grounds for visa denial. People say like, oh, what if I go to the embassy and they explain that, I was not able to get a picture of the kids at the time of application. They don't care. They don't care if you're able to get a picture of them or not. They don't care what are the circumstances surrounding why you did not add this kid. As long as this kid was not added at the time of application and they were your biological kids, then you will not be able to add them after you win the green card lottery. Do not make this mistake. A lot of people make this mistake and they immediately make a mistake. For example, you win the green card lottery and on your DS260, you add this kid that you did not add in your application. It's gonna show because they will see how old is this kid. If this kid is older than before you applied for the green card lottery, they know this kid existed before you applied. So before you show up at the embassy, your visa will be denied already. You're just spending money, you're just showing up there to do the interview, but in real sense, they already denied you the visa. So if you're out there and you're listening, if you did not add any kid who existed before you applied, don't win and start bombarding the DS260 with those kids, because guess what? Your visa will be denied because you lied on your application. Number 2, if you have stepchildren, maybe you're married to the father, the mother, whatever, and then you did not add these kids to your application, the step kids, when you win the green card lottery, do not add these stepchildren unless you married their mother or their father after you applied for the green card lottery, which means they became your step kids after you applied. But if they existed before, the marriage certificate was before you applied for the green card lottery, you'll be denied a visa because you did not add those step kids. Same with the adopted kids. So if you have kids, you need to have added them if you had legal adoption papers at the time of application. Another situation is about my subscriber who asked me about she won the green card lottery, now she's pregnant. When she goes to the embassy, will they ask who's the father? She hasn't given birth yet, so that should not be an issue. It won't be an issue. It won't come up. And then they don't care who the father of the kid is, because America, as you know it, here there are people who just choose not to have a baby daddy. Some people just go to whatever, the lab or whatever, to the doctor's office, and then they get donations and they get kids, but they really don't know who the kids, the baby father. And it's okay over here. So when you go to the embassy and you're pregnant, as long as you're pregnant, nobody will care who the father is. So that should not be an issue. But then I also have another question from another subscriber who asked about, what if I applied when I was pregnant? And then by the time the results come out, I win the green card lottery. I find out I won the green card lottery. I was pregnant at the time of application. The results come out. I realize I won the green card lottery. What do I do after I gave birth? So maybe apply when you're pregnant, you win, and then you give birth after. What do you do? Because this kid was not included in your application. So in your case, you can add this kid to your DS260. And why is that? Because this kid existed after you applied for the green card lottery, not before you applied for the green card lottery. So you can just on your DS260, you can add this kid because it's a new happening. It's a new thing that's happening in your life. It did not exist before. So you'll not be penalized because you did not add the kid. The kid did not exist at that time. So this kind of kid is allowed to be added on your application. But if the kid existed before, as I'm repeating, do not add that kid to that DS260 because you're going to get your visa denied. Who else can you add in your DS260 who was not included in the beginning? You can add your spouse. Maybe you applied as single. Stuff happened, people are in a relationship, you decide to get married, before the results come out, or maybe after results come out. Can you add this new spouse to your DS260? Sure. Why? Because they existed after you applied for the green card lottery. So you can add a new spouse, like if you go ahead and get married right now to somebody else before you win or after you win, you can add them to your DS260. Just make sure or be ready to provide proof of the relationship, because they just want to prove that you did not get married to get somebody to America because you won the green card lottery. So you have to make sure, like the marriage, you have proof that there was a relationship before you guys got married. Pick up what I've just said. The kids that can be added to application are your biological kids, your step kids, and your adopted kids. When can they be added? All this was supposed to be added during the application phase, if they existed at that time. And who can be added after the application? If you are pregnant during the application and you ended up giving birth, either before the results came out or even after the results came out, and then it's time for the interview, you gave birth, then you can add that kid to this DS260. Also, with a spouse, you can add your new spouse to your DS260. If you have any questions, you can type your questions in the comment section below. As always, remember to subscribe to my channel, because I'll be uploading videos like this to give you one tip or two to make sure, like if you win the green card lottery, you successfully process your visa. Thanks for watching.